Yes, indeed. That was Todd Michael Krim. Check him out. You know how to get to him. www.realitycares.org. So I had a little time to simmer down, but I'm really not. I'm still really angry and pissed about this whole BP oil situation. I could have done a whole show about that and still not gotten it all out. Now, I did have one act of rebellion, and it felt so good. And in the larger scheme of things, I know it was very insignificant and small, but at the same time, it was significant, and it was large for me. I actually had a BP gas card. It was sitting in my cupboard. I said cupboard like I'm Little Miss Hubbard in a cupboard. It was sitting in, why did I say that, a cupboard? I don't have cupboards. It was in a drawer. It was in like a little box I have where I keep stuff. Pulled out my BP card, flipped it over, called them. What did I say? Said I can't do it anymore. Cancel the card. They begged me to stay, said they would lower the interest rate. You know, those interest rates on those gas cards are high. They're really, really high. They're many times 14.99, 19.99. You don't get 5.9 interest rates on gas cards. Told them to cut that you-know-what up. And I actually said the words. The FCC wasn't tuning in. Maybe the FBI was. You know, everything's tapped in this day and age. Canceled my BP card. Cut it up. That's right. I think I got a picture of it. Let's put it up there. That is my BP card. You can see it now. Cut that sucker up. Now, I know that one card being cut up and canceled isn't going to do a darn thing to Mr. Hayward, who just wants his life back. I posted it on Facebook. Got a lot of positive responses. In fact, everybody was positive about that. Yeah, I love your picture. You go. Love it. Rock on. Now, if everybody took their BP cards and cut them up, we might have something going on here. That would make me very, very happy. Well, you know what? When I think about the BP oil disaster, catastrophe, horror show, I'm not going to call it a spill anymore. I'm going to call it what it is. It's a catastrophe, a disaster, a horror show. It makes me want to say what I call this next segment of the show. Let's turn this up extra loud just for effect.
What the?
That's right. I had to put a little 2-second pause there just to make sure it was loud enough. I was worth it. I think it was very well worth it. So, got a few of these. You're going to like these. 911. Speaking about phone calls, 911, Newport Richey, Florida. Seems the gentleman down there is already freaking out. Listen to what he did. A 32-year-old Pasco County man who called 911 to complain about his mother is facing criminal charges. According to a sheriff's officer arrest report, Charles Dennison told the deputy that his mother took his beer and he wanted her arrested for the theft. Not making this up. Dennison was reportedly very intoxicated, I'm sure. When the deputy arrived at the Newport Richey home, Dennison told the deputy that he would keep calling emergency responders if his mother wasn't charged. He has been charged with making false 911 calls and was jailed on a $150 bond. You know what? I was going to play the sound of a bunch of telephones ringing, and that wasn't quite what I had in mind. I heard a gunshot. This certainly doesn't call for capital punishment by any means, so I apologize. I do hope that Charles Dennison sobers up and realizes that you shouldn't utilize your 911 calls because your mother took your Schlitz malt liquor or whatever you're drinking down there in Newport Richey, Florida. I'm sure he's sobered up by now and realizes the ills of his ways. Get this, moving over to Iowa City. Police in Iowa City said a man who called them to report that he'd been punched while on the Iowa City pedestrian mall was punched again by a second person while he was on the phone with his 911 call. That's right, just got punched.
What the?
Exactly. He's reporting a punch. He's on the phone with 911. Gets punched again. Exactly. What the you-know-what? Police said the man, whose name was not released, told 911 dispatchers early Tuesday morning that he had just been assaulted and was following the person who did it. Maybe not the best idea, but, we do crazy things when we get punched, and we've got cell phones. Police said that while he was speaking with officers, a friend of the original assailant punched the man and knocked him to the ground. If I ever lose my job, I think I might take a job at a 911 center. Stories like this and all the phone calls that must come in, can you imagine the stories that you get to hear in the break room while you're drinking your coffee and eating your M&Ms? I bet they have more stories than, an EMT worker. I've always wanted to do those two. I bet you EMT workers and 911 workers I've always wanted to do. Maybe I should do a job shadow thing sometime. Anyways, speaking of the drunk guy that we talked about from Florida in the first story, we're going to talk about another drunk guy. Listen to this. Again, Iowa City, Iowa. What's going on in Iowa? What's going on out there? Yes, a couple of those. Listen to what this drunk guy did in Iowa City, Iowa. Police say they were able to track down a drunken driver who struck a street sign, not because people gave a description of the car, not because he had a red car and it left red markings on the pole. They were able to track him down because of his clothing. Didn't have on a mask, not some big jacket with his name on the back. His lack of clothing, lack thereof. Get this, police say witnesses told officers they saw a naked man drive away from a convenience store early yesterday, Tuesday, and hit a street sign. So it was very easy for them to identify this man, just, the naked one, in Iowa City, Iowa. I live in New York, and we don't have naked people running around. I can only imagine what was going on in Iowa City. Now, my question is, they saw him leaving a convenience store naked? Was he in there shopping in the nude? Is that like the newest thing? I know people are doing anything in this economy to get people into their stores, but I haven't heard about nude shopping yet. But give it time. It's coming. No pun intended. It's coming real soon to a retail store near you. Well, speaking of coming soon, we'll be back on Friday with the John Waters interview. Make sure you tune in. That's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you've got a question you want me to ask John, you know how to get at me. I'm Lil Ern. This is Unfiltered. We're back Friday.